Scene 1. The decision. Nobody grows up understanding what this job actually is. People imagine glory, precision, control, but they never imagine the waiting, the silence, the loneliness. You were 19 when the idea first entered your head, not from a movie, not from a speech, but from watching your hometown slowly turn into a place where nobody expected anything from themselves anymore. Every day felt identical. Wake up, work, sleep, repeat. People around you settled into routines like they had already accepted who they would become for the rest of their lives. And something about that terrified you more than failure ever could. So when the recruiter asked what kind of role you wanted, you said it before, fully understanding it. Sniper. Even he paused for a second. Not because he was impressed, because he knew what that word actually meant. Scene 2. The illusion. Training begins with confidence. Most recruits arrive thinking accuracy is everything. You did too. You thought snipers were built around perfect aim, perfect breathing, perfect control. You were wrong. The instructors barely cared about your shooting during the first weeks. Instead, they broke your comfort. Cold mornings, heavy gear, long marches, sleep deprivation. You spent hours lying motionless in mud while insects crawled across your skin. Not because it looked impressive, because movement gets people killed. The first thing they teach you is simple. A sniper's greatest weapon is patience. And patience hurts more than pain ever will. Scene 3. The spotter. That's when you meet your spotter. At first, he feels like a stranger forced into your life. Different personality, different background, different mindset. But over time, something changes. Because snipers are never truly alone. You begin understanding each other without words. Tiny gestures, eye movements, breathing patterns. The instructors intentionally put both of you under pressure. If one fails, both fail. And slowly, trust becomes survival. Not emotional trust, not friendship, something deeper. The kind built when two people understand that hesitation could end both lives instantly. Scene 4. Learning stillness. Stillness sounds easy until you actually try it. Hours pass differently when you cannot move. Your muscles ache. Your neck burns. Sweat collects beneath your gear. But you remain still. Because somewhere beyond your scope, someone could be watching for exactly one mistake. A twitch. A reflection. A shadow. Shifting unnaturally. You begin noticing details normal people never see anymore. Wind direction through moving grass. Temperature changes against skin. Bird behavior. Distant sounds. Eventually, your brain changes. Crowded places become overwhelming. You stop relaxing naturally. You scan rooms without thinking. You measure distances instinctively. The world stops feeling casual. Everything becomes information. Scene 5. Distance. People think distance protects you emotionally. It doesn't. If anything, distance makes things feel stranger. You observe lives without participating in them. Families walking, children laughing, couples arguing. Normal moments. And somehow, seeing those moments through optics changes them. Because now you're detached from them. Watching without belonging. That feeling follows you even outside the military. You go home someday and realize you observe people more than you connect with them. Scene 6. The first real assignment. Nobody celebrates your first deployment. There's no dramatic speech, no music, just preparation. Quiet. The helicopter ride feels longer than expected. Not because of fear, because reality finally catches up to imagination. This is no longer training. Mistakes now carry names, faces, consequences. Your team moves through darkness carefully. Everyone speaks less. Even experienced soldiers become quieter before operations. That silence tells you everything. Scene 7. Watching your first assignment isn't action. It's observation. Hours hidden in position. Watching roads, windows, movement patterns. You realize intelligence matters more than aggression. Most of the job is restraint, not shooting, not reacting, not rushing. Movies never show this part, the endless waiting, the uncertainty, the mental exhaustion of staying focused while nothing happens. But this is the real work, and it changes you slowly. Scene 8. Pressure. The pressure arrives suddenly. Communication shifts. Voices become sharper. Something changed. You don't fully understand what yet, but everyone feels it instantly. Adrenaline narrows your thinking. Your breathing slows automatically. Your spotter gives information calmly. Distance, wind, movement. Every second stretches unnaturally long. This is what training was actually preparing you for. Not shooting. Decision-making under pressure. Scene 9. The shot. Nobody prepares you emotionally for the first shot. Not really. Training prepares mechanics, not memory. Afterward, people expect dramatic reactions, but reality feels quieter. Your body stays focused, professional, controlled. And that's what disturbs you later. Not panic, not fear, but how quickly your brain adapts when survival demands it. You remember sitting afterward in silence, realizing part of you had changed permanently. Scene 10. Returning home. Coming home feels stranger than leaving. People expect you to return unchanged. You can't explain why that's impossible. Noise feels different. Crowds feel exhausting. You sit facing doors automatically. You notice rooftops, windows, movement. Friends talk about normal problems while your brain still operates somewhere else entirely. And slowly, you stop talking about your experiences altogether. Not because you're hiding secrets, because words fail to translate the reality of it. Scene 11. Reputation. Over time, newer recruits begin looking at you differently. Not because you speak loudly. Actually, the opposite. Experience makes people quieter. You stop trying to prove yourself. That confidence disappears. Because now you understand how fragile survival actually is. You teach newer soldiers things nobody taught you clearly enough. Patience, discipline, emotional control. And most importantly, the ability to stay calm when fear becomes physical. Scene 12. The myth versus reality. People still misunderstand snipers. They imagine ego, coldness, emotionless precision. But reality is more complicated. The best snipers aren't obsessed with shooting. They're obsessed with awareness, control, restraint. Most of the job is avoiding unnecessary action entirely. Because once violence begins, everything becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability gets people killed. Scene 13. The isolation. You notice isolation building slowly, not dramatically, quietly. Relationships weaken. You spend more time alone without realizing it. Silence becomes comfortable. Too comfortable. Sometimes you sit awake late at night, replaying moments nobody else remembers. Tiny decisions, tiny movements, tiny chances where things could have gone differently. That mental replay never fully disappears. Scene 14. Precision. Years later, your hands become steadier, your instincts sharper. You read environments automatically. Weather, terrain, human behavior, everything connects. But strangely, the more skilled you become, the less excitement you feel about the role itself. Because now you understand its weight completely. Experience removes illusion. Scene 15. The reality. One day during training, a recruit asks you what being a sniper is really like. You look at him for a moment, trying to answer honestly. Finally, you say, It's mostly patience, carrying pressure, and learning how to stay calm longer than other people can. He looks disappointed, like he expected something more dramatic. And that's when you realize most people will never understand this job, because the real reality isn't flashy enough for stories. It's quieter than that, heavier, more human. Scene 16. The final understanding. Eventually, you stop thinking about the title itself. Sniper becomes just a word. What remains is the mindset, awareness, discipline, control. You understand now that precision was never the hardest part. The hardest part was learning how to carry responsibility without letting it destroy who you are. And maybe that's the truth nobody sees. Not the shot, not the scope, not the reputation, but the person underneath all of it, trying to remain human while living in a world that constantly trains you not to be.